Who's a technical SEO or developer? Interesting. Just working out the different room. So, I mean, in general, when I'm looking at searching 2019, it's been the exact same thing that I've done for the last 10 years, which is, essentially you build good links into pages, you build, oh Jesus, thank you. You build good content around it, and that's literally it. I don't think that's particularly changed. I think the relevance of semantic searches went up quite a bit. I think, Arnaud is going to talk about this in a little bit more detail. I think there's a dampening effect now with a lot of links where if the trust factors in play, and I don't mean the kind of EAT stuff that's been kind of thrown about, but I don't think if the trust factors aren't in play. I think regardless of the type of links you're getting, whether it be from the Guardian or the Telegraph or the BBC, I think they're dampened, they're not actually passing full value until you hit like the main trust factors and Google knows who you are, what you sell, what kind of business you are. And that's something we've seen recently. We do a lot of work in the kind of casino and forex space. Like our kind of thing is like building like PR links. And we're finding the more of those PR links, like we get like a casino on the BBC, which is weird, right? That doesn't really happen. You just pay BBC journalists and everything. So essentially what we're finding is when we actually just fix trust factors on their site, it all comes up. But we're hitting them with like big links from like the Telegraph and like the Guardian and like actual proper broadsheets, but they're not moving. And then we actually just fix everything on the site, and then we just magically move. So I think there's some level of dampening going on in particularly difficult industries. And that's me.
Yeah. Arnaud, what's your first takeaway for everyone in 2019? Are we just going technical? Are we going to get straight into entity search? Where do you want to go straight away? Dive in deep?
Well, I think the technical part is essential to rank, as is content and as is discovery, which is links. And it kind of has always been, but I think speed and usability play a huge part in ranking. But one of the kind of weird things that I've been seeing is that Google is, how should I say this, almost thrown back about 10 years because they're looking way more at on-page signals, as Ross also was telling. And they're validating that with external signals, so not on your page. May it be Wikipedia, or may it be big media mentions slash talking about your topic slash subject. And not a lot of companies are working on that, and we've all been pushed by Google into doing the better thing, make faster websites and make it convert and blah 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 blah. But essentially we've forgotten about the essence, and they're working on machine learning, so they actually want to figure out what a page is about. But if we use marketing terms on our money pages, how is it going to rank for those money keywords and intent? If we call, car leasing, new ownership of car, are you going to link, are you going to rank on car leasing? I don't think so. Unless there's a shitload of signals telling you that that is the same thing. So what I've seen happening now is focusing more on keywords. Actually gets some of my clients to rank higher, which is to me a bit weird. But I think Google is trying to move away from links way more and looking to validate what they see on a page on different other platforms on the internet. May it be Wikipedia, may it be big newspapers, may it be... So, and I don't see a lot of SEOs focusing on that. It's where I'm heading. And, well, pick your battles and do what you want to do, but that's where I'm. So for me it's speed, and it's about building the entity, building my brand / who I am. Well, that's it.
branding. So,
Kind of.
authority. What about Judith? I'm interested. You know, some of the chats we've had over the last couple of days. We've been doing a lot of talking, and I mean, there's obviously this whole thing of branding and authority, but of course we still can't deny the links work, right? So, do you have something to say about that going into 2019?
So yeah, branding is important. Obviously, I'm speaking on branding as I told you at LAC, so I have to say branding is important. I agree with you about OTAs. I've worked for Amadeus, and I've seen this the way that when Google bought the PSS, at that point you knew that it was going in a different direction and you wouldn't have to pay to play. And I agree with you as well, Arno, about the way that things are going with entity search and whatnot. But I'm obviously, no, not obviously. If you read my tweets and you read the plethora of backstory that I have online, I'm a little bit edgy, and I still believe in links, and I still believe in buying links. Please, kids, just say no, because if you buy them and you don't know what you're doing, you will fuck your site up really badly, and please don't make me responsible for that. I've done a lot of testing, and anyone who's at my, was it Las Vegas Ungagged that I did that talk about my testing with links and building links, and what links worked, what links didn't work, and also clicks on search results, what clicks worked, what clicks didn't work. So if you weren't at Ungagged and you missed me, I'm sorry, you missed out. Unless you want me to do that talk again. Anyway.
We'll talk.
We'll talk.
Do it.
So links work, maybe, maybe not. I won't spoiler my talk, but I will say that I continue to buy links, but I buy them in a very specific way in that I expect them to send traffic. I expect them to send converting traffic. So when I brief in bloggers, and we were talking about this, I brief in bloggers to say that I expect the link to be clickable and desirably clickable, so I want them to write about the topic that I'm asking them to write about in a way that will make them want to click the link and find out more from the client. The client must buy into the idea that they have to do research. There has to be a reason. I cannot abide by clients who come to me and say, hey, we just want to buy links. Yeah, well, I just want to be a millionaire and live in the Bahamas sometimes and in somewhere else hot some other times. But you know what? We don't always get what we want. So don't just want links. You have to understand why you're getting links, what you want out of it. And so yes, link building is not dead. I am 100% on board with buying links, but smartly, with a plan and a reason and a desired outcome and all that bullshit that goes with marketing but actually works.
Nice one.
Hey, Juliet. So,
It's a hard bridge.
do you have something to add on what Judith was saying? I mean, are we talking fitting into a reasonable surfer model, or do you have other opinions about what we should be doing in 2019?
Part of it is Google is selling the search page to anybody it can. We've seen a 34% increase in things like PLAs and search presence in our ads. So we have less groundwork to work with than we have before. Speaking from a casino side of things, buying links is kind of an imperative because there are a lot of industries. Nobody in their right mind is going to sell a casino a link. I mean, give them a link naturally. You have to buy them. You don't even know.
It can't be done.
Okay. Put it this way: in 6.5 years, I have not had my offsite team land a single natural link that wasn't completely outrageous. I'm talking just like straight up blog post. I'm not talking, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the normal scheme
You
of,
need to hire Type Media, that's where you're going wrong.
I'm not in the casino space anymore. I'm so bad, but I'm totally going to refer you to the people who are used to it.
No, and I get that, like that, it's incredibly hard. So, and just to preface that, like, it's not a case of you're putting up a blog post and like pinging some people. You're literally building editorial calendars, and you're like coming up with. So the links we get for casinos and Forex people have got nothing to do with casino or Forex. So we literally done a piece when the government released the gender pay information. We just took, it was in a flat database, so we just made an interactive of it and just said, hey, the date's here and easier to use. And the moment the data was easier to use, people just started referencing it. They didn't give a shit that it was on a casino site, because it wasn't. The other thing is, it wasn't just like posted on a blog, the classic way you'd like build an infographic. Another way that we do it is we just put it on like a resourcename.com website and cross-domain canonical in. and we duplicate it on the client's website. Or no. But I get you, it's brutally difficult, but
It is.
because they make an ungodly amount of money, it's fine for them to do it.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like link building that most people would use, other than casinos, forex, like really, I'm not going to say really black hat, but the tougher link building areas. Yes, you're absolutely going to pay for it. You're not going to earn it the same way you can do it on an e-com site or a travel site that's got genuinely interesting content of its own. It's not a manufactured interest. But going back to what you guys are saying about what's happening on the page and on page elements, I think Google's starting to pay much more attention. It's basically saying, okay, great, we won't look at what your links are about until we can see that your actual site is about that too, and then add that in. It's not necessarily giving you the full value of this. I mean, you might get a bit of value here and there, but at the same time, Google's now honing in so strongly that they're struggling with massive scale sites. So that's one thing that we're seeing on the eBay side of things. Google can't really comprehend the immense nature of a site of that magnitude. It struggles to understand all the different bits and pieces. I mean, you've got billions of pages, with billions of different products, billions of different topics. Google cannot comprehend that. And the closer it looks at on-page elements, the harder it is for big sites to be able to compete on an equal footing to every single little site in that same niche. So that's where the on-site stuff comes in. You get the technical challenges and stuff, keeping everything coherent. And Google keeps changing the goalposts. And that's the really frustrating part, is what's nice is we all, like you said, we almost seem to be going back to the beginning again, and stuff that used to work, stopped working, and is now being useful and relevant again. And it's quite fascinating doing tests on stuff that worked when I started 13 years ago. Now it's great, it's now working again after 10 years of going, that doesn't work no more. So it's nice to be able to know that sooner or later everything else comes back into fashion, including some black hat techniques.
Okay. What do you think, Hannah? Is there a black hat still happening, or are we just completely going, branding, authority? What's your take, Hannah?
I mean, everyone.
You're not on.
It's on. There's
It
a
was on.
light.
I talked it to death.
I'm really good at tech. Don't worry, it's fine. So, everyone in my office hates me because when anyone mentions anything black hat, they want to buy a link. I'm like, categorically no. Black hat's always going to be a place, but I don't think it's a place that agencies should really be operating in. I don't think it's going to die out because tactics will die out, but you're always going to find a way to dodge the rules, aren't you? Like, Angela's there, like, of course I will. Like, I go to my Black Hat conference.
When you speak up.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll talk about things there that I wouldn't necessarily do for my clients. So I think it's always going to exist, it's always going to work. But as a business, do you really want to be gambling your future on the fact that you don't get caught? Probably not. I think Nick, do you want to be on stage or not?
Hiding.
Okay, fine.
I've never seen it.
I think the biggest thing with links and brand and all of that is that we're calling them individual tactics instead of just looking at it as a bigger piece, which is just we're building trust and we want people to come to our site, and links are a trust signal. If your mate recommends that you should go to a bar opposed to another bar, you're more likely to trust them. It's the exact same principle online, and we all abused it and broke it, and Google's slowly letting that come back in as long as we don't fuck it up again. So I think the whole point here is that we need to kind of be responsible with what we do, Black Hat. Not abuse the things, nobody please Black Hat and abuse Schema because I really like it, and the more you use it and you use it to manipulate Google, the less it's going to have an impact.
Don't ruin it for us.
Exactly.
Particularly when it's done badly.
Yeah, just
Jerry,
don't
what's
do black hat badly, kids. Just say no. Do black hat well, or I will hunt you down and I will kill you.
Don't play with
Or you know
fire.
how you do black hat.
Jerry, what do we do? Do we just keep going for authority, or are we going to move more into the schema entity search for 2019?
CNC is going to be massive, and one of the things that I would say is that the 10 blue links that we see at the moment, they're disappearing, and they've disappeared. So we have to be really careful that we kind of understand how Google's reporting everything, how Google's looking at everything. This intent, which is what Arno was talking about quite extensively, over everything else. So basically, we need to basically play in the way in which Google is reporting kind of like Google's kind of listing everything. And that's what we need to be in, and I don't think we're in that territory yet.
So I think when we talk about like losing some of the links on the first page and we talk about entity, we also need to shift where we think SEO fits into our marketing mix. So like at Found, we consider SEO as a performance channel, and we set it as such, and it comes out of our clients' performance budgets. But what we move that and we put it into a branding and an awareness channel. If we position SEO as a way to get attention to your brand, and that means that actually someone seeing my result in a SERP but not clicking on it counts as an SEO win because they've seen my name. They might have seen an answer box where I've given them the solution they needed, but there's no measurable impact on site. If that happens, that's still beneficial for my brand, and then that means that maybe I'll get a branded search back and I could go, oh, hopefully that's driven that, but we can't measure it that well. So if we keep thinking of SEO as performance, we're going to keep buying links and we're going to keep doing things directly on page and think that if you change a keyword and a page title and an internal link, you're going to change your business. But you're probably not. So we need to move it and consider SEO on two streams, and that awareness stream I think is going to become more important as we get into 2019.
I want to add to this because when you talk to people outside of the industry, they trust Google's answers. So with Google moving way more into basically answering machine mode with their answer boxes and everything, if you can be that answer that has been given to them by a authority as they see it, then that is of a huge importance. It's way more than just the impression. It's literally saying, I've read that this is the answer, and that was the brand giving me the answer. So I think, well, completely right.
Just to add to that, the zero results is now becoming more and more important from a branding perspective for the very reason you're talking about. Google has the most inherent amount of trust.
So do you mean zero position or
Yeah,
zero
zero.
results?
Yeah,
Zero
yeah,
position.
zero
Sorry,
position.
Zero
Sorry.
rather than
Yeah,
zero
yeah.
results.
Because
Position.
Google starts to do Google starts to do this zero results as well, which is
Yeah,
kind of
I was looking at that today, that's why my
Go on, sorry.
brain is not functioning. So position zero is
The
becoming
feature
more...
snippet, right?
Yeah, so feature snippets, anything that is not an inherent web result is becoming more and more important from a branding perspective. Even if you don't get the click, you get people absorbing your information. But you also, Google's also forcing you to all put out your information in exactly the same manner. It's discriminating against differentiation of information and display of information because it wants things in a certain way that it can comprehend easily, which means when you don't do it, you don't get the position. The guy who's willing to situate it exactly the way Google likes it is going to get the position.
Well, the simple thing is, if you look at the stars and the way the rating came to work, is people had like 8 out of 10 or 6 out of 8, and Google had a hard time making that visible. So they said, well, here's schema. If you use that, you'll get the stars. So they basically ask us to give them it in a way it's easily digestible for them. And I think with the whole schema stuff, we're just training their algorithms. That's it. We're not doing anything else. So from that perspective, yeah, definitely do it. Unless you're in e-commerce and you want Google to take over.
I would say don't.
E-commerce is all over people take over.
I would say definitely don't do it. So let's take this to its logical conclusion, right? Right, so Google just bought a company for $60 million called Superpod, which is essentially it's like a social answer engine, but it's essentially a bunch of people who are experts who answer questions in this kind of app kind of thing, which is essentially position zero in the knowledge graph but with humans, right? So let's take it to its logical conclusion. So in the advertising industry, we went from like, look at banner ads. It used to be like, oh, you get these clicks and that's good because then they come on the site and they convert and you make money. And then that stopped working. It's like, oh, but the impressions matter, right? Or the view through impression costs. If anyone works in banner advertising or programmatic, you get a hard time explaining to the clients that it's still worth it. It's like, oh, they've seen it, therefore it's a good thing. Same with position zero. What, like they saw, like, so the amount of SEO agencies that are like, oh, not only we're not number one, we're position 0, which is actually even better. It's really fucking not, if you think about it, because you're not getting the traffic for that. So why would you want to optimize in order to not get any traffic? Yes, you are position 1, and like brand equity on a blue link, does anyone really give a shit? Because it's all informational terms, it's not like it's connected to the brand in any way. So,
It is.
well, an informational term, like you want them onto the site so you can get them in a funnel and can then convert them later down the line. 10 blue links does not associate, like for example, if we put all of our agencies, all of our businesses in a cert with blue links, there's 0 brand differentiation there. There are 10 blue fucking links. There's no branding there. It's just a word.
It's not well written, really.
Let's buy the right links.
Buy the right links.
Hashtag just
We've
saying.
now got the logical conclusion on this topic, so let's change. I want to just change completely here into a different gear. And we often hear about this spoken in the same sentence as SEO, but I'm wondering whether in 2019 is content king? Are we content people here? Should we be thinking about content as king? Just changing gears. Maybe Ross can give us your take.
Sure. Our entire agency strategy for 2019 is just 100% flood the web with content, in particular video content. Let's look at the commercials of this. So we've got 5 or 6 major platforms that are all about like putting content into your hands, for example. So the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Twitters, whatever. If you look at the way their commercial model has worked since the start, what tends to happen, and Google do this as well, to incentivize the people who are the content creators. So for Google, it's the webmaster. Do we all remember putting the authorship markup on our site so we got our little faces on there? Do you all remember doing that to your clients and be like, it's going to be the best thing ever? And you did get a little bump, didn't you? Then it was taken away. And then you do something else to train the algorithm, as Arnaud says, and then it was taken away. But they've still got the data and they've still got the market share. Now let's look at Facebook. Do you remember when video, they really wanted to take on YouTube and do the video thing? Lots and lots of organic reach, especially if you do live, taken away. And that's just going to consistently happen. So you need to just work out the commercial imperatives of the people at the top, play their game and take your own market share, and don't be this whole, we showed up once and we got some brand equity, which is very much an agency position, but it's disingenuous.
Can we kind of ask the audience a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, Sarah. Sarah, catch.
I love that. She's like,
Nice catch, Sarah.
What's your view?
Sorry?
You're on speaker microphone.
Jerry, you're a fucker. Hi everybody, Jerry invited me here today because I'm a content person. I'm very anti-black hat SEO. Jerry convinces me that I've seen some very nasty behaviour. We work on content only. We use search engine optimization tools to do discovery, mental models, sentiment scoring, language mapping, journey mapping, that sort of thing. We will use it for those sorts of things, but we don't do SEO. We don't do SEO because we think optimizing for the human will do that, and then SEO will kind of, Google will do its thing, right? So I know I'm leaving immediately after saying this because I don't want to get
There's a video follow-up afterwards.
Don't tell them where I live.
You're on camera.
But we don't use it. We use all the tools, but in order to get to the human, and then we just let the search engines do their own funky thing. We have a kind of magic. Google has, is this right? I'm in the correct room for this. Google has over 200 variables to its algorithm, is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
We can't,
Lots of money.
We'll skip this.
right? My theory is that you can't game a system if you don't know what that is. We take a lot of guesses, of course we do, and we do a lot of research, of course we do. We're in the lab every 2 weeks. We have a theory, if you're not watching users, then you know every 2 weeks then you're not doing your job properly. So we do a lot of this stuff, but we just let the search engines do their own thing, and then we will concentrate on the human and the content behind it.
Well, thanks, Sarah. That's
I'm
really
leaving
exciting.
now, thank you.
No,
Jerry, I'm never
we
coming
still
back.
love you.
Judith, can I believe you were saying 200, can I say ranking factors? Someone, that is
So,
Is that a bad?
I think there are good black hats and there are shit black hats, and most black hats are shit black hats, and there's very few good black hats, and they tend not to speak out in public, and obviously that makes me a shit black hat. But I think maybe you've encountered too many shit black hats, but I think one of the things that I've spoken about at Ungagged is that the user is the focus. So we were speaking about this in the car. We use keyword research to understand what people are looking for. So in Germany, they search quite differently from in Spain, where they search quite differently from here. In the UK, and I've just done a big thing for a pharma, and for that pharma, we're using natural language query understanding in the UK, but not in Spain and not in Germany because it doesn't work there. That's not how they're searching. We're understanding the user and how the user's behaving and how to service the user. And for these particular pharma drugs, it's quite an unfortunate condition, medical condition that you would encounter. So we want to make sure that if we're serving information to the user, we're not letting those flaky, crystal, weenie bullshit sites say, oh, we can cure cancer with some amethyst and some rose quartz. So like, just put some amethyst here and some rose quartz here and it'll be fine. We don't want them to rank. Yeah. So what we're doing is a deliberate, I was going to say escapade, but a deliberate strategy, let's say, of, it's almost a safeguard, yeah, of creating content, service them, and we are employing what would be considered black hat techniques. So there are really good reasons to come into a space and employ what might be edgy techniques to deliver content, as you say, you're a content person, good content to people where they need it in a pharma category or in a casino category where it's really competitive, and we need to make sure that somebody like Novartis, Bayer, Reckitt Kaiser, or other legitimate drug manufacturers and producers, and some people may not agree with what their assertions are with regards to drugs and effectiveness, but putting that aside, giving some medical information into a field where crystal weenies and faith healers and other things.
You say crystal weenies. Crystal weenies
might be trying to deliver this similar kind of result information. So we're looking at the user, we're understanding the user, understanding user needs and understanding user desires, and then delivering the right content at the right time to the right person. So we're using black hat techniques to do what might be considered white hat things. So we're trying to do things for legitimately good reasons for the user, but Google is a machine.
So I'm still hearing content is king.
So one of the
What do you think, Hannah?
one of the slightly I got told it was black hat when I recommended it to a client. I don't think it is. What we do is we match up some of our products to some of their products, and then we look at the links into their products, and if their product that's linked to is not in stock or has been discontinued, we contact that site and say, hey, why aren't you talking about us? Because we have the same, and it would help your users if you link to us instead, because you're saying to them, hey, you should be doing this, and instead, like, that you're just pointing to a dead page, why don't you actually help them do it? So if I'm trying to sell my crystals, and my competitor crystals are gone, they should buy them from me instead. Like, it makes perfect sense.
Kind of a show of hands about who would think that's a black hat tactic to reach out to a listing.
That's not black hat at all.
So is it black hat? If they ask you
Is
to
it
pay?
black hat or not? Yes or no?
It's not black hat. It's black hat here, so it's not black hat.
Editorial.
Okay, but what if they say, and now it's 50 quid for that link, because that's what the other person paid? Does it make it black hat because you pay, but it's still helpful?
If you pay, it's black hat.
Exactly, but what we've done was actually an editorial thing.
And yet we're all getting paid as SEOs, so, you know, we're all black hats.
So there's an interesting thing here, because Judith hit on it, but I work in slightly smaller language areas, like the Netherlands, Belgium, Norway, Finland, Denmark. Trust me that content won't get you anywhere, literally nowhere. Because content discovery, in my opinion, it's all about linkable assets. So in the UK, there is a ton of great editorial websites that can link to you. But in Norway, no way.
How big is your budget?
Well, exactly. That's the other point. We don't have the budgets to do these kind of things for this client. So I'm just saying that in an English language, I've also seen Google being way better in understanding what the site and the page is about. Whereas in other countries and languages like Belgium or the Netherlands or Denmark, Norway, Finland, you can get a proper link, but they weigh the anchor text way more than they do the on-page stuff.
Yeah.
So also bear that in mind. And I really want Google to fix this.
They are getting there. They're getting better. They've definitely gotten better in the last year or two.
Yeah, they have. But
By leaps and bounds, their ability to comprehend non-English language has improved so much that they can
Comparatively.
Okay. Yeah, of course, right. Yeah, like they understand English fantastically well. They understand everything else, maybe 10%, 25%. The way I normally track how good Google's understanding of non-English is to keep doing translations in Google Translate and rating the quality of their returns.
with the native speaker.
Yes. No, I'm sorry. I don't speak Japanese. I don't speak German. I don't speak anything other than English and a bit of shit. But
Yeah.
if you take, I can't even speak Afrikaans. I'm a traitor to my homeland. But genuinely, if you sit down and you take a native language speaker and you get them to assess the results, and I used to do this on a regular basis. Google's ability to understand and interpret language, even synonyms, semantics, all that kind of stuff is getting better. It's not anywhere near English, and it won't be for many, many years. I only know what you're talking about Spanish, German, everything. I was having exactly this conversation today with some of my colleagues that work in those regions. And the stuff that works really well in the UK is really not doing as well because they can't comprehend the relationship between wordage.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Can I bring Hannah in? So
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you
so
want-
do you think then that means we shouldn't do it? Or do you think actually the smartest people are the ones that are doing it, preparing for the fact Google's going to catch up in language?
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
so we've got clients and stuff that have been in a few other regions, and I know I used to work on the worst shopping comparison site in Italy, and like their entire business model was based on a cat, and if you sign up you're a cat, and if you shop a lot you can become a lion, and that was the entire brand strategy. So it wasn't doing great, and they were like, well, we want you to do an English strategy because we know that England is ahead. They're like, the UK market is ahead and it's going to be great. They were like, your SEO is great in the UK, work for us. None of our tactics worked. And they were like, so should we delete it or do we leave it, keep running that, but also buy some links and do some shit SEO in the background that will work in Italy? Like, yeah, you have to do both and you're future-proofing yourself by kind of balancing the two.
That was exactly what we were saying. The flip side to that was if Google decides in the next 2 years while it's on catch-up point to take it in a completely different direction, what you're doing is no longer going to work into your site. Think about the timelines in Back to the Future. When you screw up one timeline, you don't necessarily get the right timeline at the end of it.
I think the biggest issue here is that if we can't get a new country to work and pay for itself, what am I going to do? I want to do the right thing, but in order for, if I look at my whole SERP, if I look at all the backlinks that my competitors are getting,
you can't do the right thing.
This is
You want to do the right thing.
who am I?
Can I change the subject a bit to actually sort of leading off this a bit about how Google's progressing and looking at the future. I mean, we hear all these predictions. So 2019 prediction. Well, let's talk about a 2020 prediction. So voice search will be 50% of all traffic.
Hang on.
Come on, man.
Can you throw that, Nick?
who's squatting?
Nick Wilson, Hayes.
Ranking favors? Ranking favors? Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Friends, you've been here. You give us
No, I can't.
Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah. So that's just there was that stat that was kicking around. I mean, is voice search the future? Oh, it should be. We totally.
Is what I'm talking about for this. Yeah, undoubtedly, yeah, absolutely. It's, but it's not going to take over from your website or your app by any chance. But you need to get ready for it. It's a massive revolution. We've got several POCs where people have loved it. I mean, even if you're, it's such an easy one to get involved with. So, go and do it. Go and do an Alexa skill. It's really easy. Get your dev team doing it. We're mining. You know that Amazon opened up the customer profile API now on Alexa skills. So anyone who gives you permission when they're using your skill, you get all their Amazon information. So use it as a lead gen. Grab that and run lookalike audiences on that. Get the paid team to pay for your SEO, POC. It's pretty easy. No one's abusing that yet. Like Skim, yeah, don't abuse that.
People are.
Yeah, we will.
No, people are domain squatting, or the equivalent of domain squatting on Alexa skills and
people
all
are,
that kind of thing.
for names of skills. If you're not registered the name of your skill, those are going at the moment, like domain names. So Alexa is letting you have multiple registrations. So they can have like, so do Christmas skill, you can have 50 of those and they're all competing for position on Alexa. So you start to do Alexa SEO, which is really niche. Google's only letting unique registrations on voice. So once your brand name's gone on Google for Google, Google Action, that's gone. You've lost it. At least there's some sort of brand system in Alexa to kind of get that back if you've got the relevant paperwork. So yeah, definitely get that registered. Yeah.
Hashtag hurry up.
Hashtag hurry up to do that quickly. It's getting spammed there.
I just think what we're forgetting with search and voice search is that we have to have these devices connected. So if you've got a BMW, you can get voice search in it, or Mercedes, or some expensive car, we can get voice search, right? But that doesn't mean that it's going to talk to your Alexa home. It doesn't mean it's going to talk to your fridge. Like, these devices are not going to be connected if we're voice searching on different platforms all the time. So I think what we're going to see, hopefully by 2020, but maybe later, will be some form of connectivity between that, whether that's one dominant voice search, or whether that's they work out a way to talk to each other. Doesn't really matter how it happens, but until they get connected, I don't think it's going to be viable.
But it starts with us as SEOs, because we need to get our data sorted out. So if you want to find your store, then what's your data looking like for your stores?
Nick's mentioned Alexa skills. Sherpans, who's got an Alexa at home? Yeah, you're all geeks. But normally this is like 0. I mean, basically most people haven't got this kind of thing. But if you have got an Alexa, it is shit for search. It's absolutely terrible. You try to do any search and it doesn't give you great results. All it does is skills.
Yeah. The skills are search. Because now Alexa is associating. Alexa is pointing to the skill. It's pointing to the relevant skill. So skill is search. For me.
Right. So basically, skills are more like actions. If I want to kind of go, Alexa, do this, it'll do it. It's brilliant.
Alexa, order me more chocolate. I'm out.
You know what? There's a brilliant skill for Alexa for Just Eat. You can reorder your last order and do lots of things like that. Vodafone, I'm sure, has got some great skills. There's some chocolate skills.
Where's
eBay.
the gin? Where's the gin? Yeah, but you get on Alexa, it orders you the last gin you had. You have no surprise me.
But it doesn't do search
Alexa,
particularly well.
But you're talking about 2020, aren't you? So 2020 is about systems.
Hang on, I think Tim wants to go.
It's not It's 2020 is about systems.
Tim was
That's
wanted
different.
gin, so his comment better be good.
Do I get a gin if I ask a decent question on
Yes.
the subject online? But I think if you're going to get voice to go to the point where it is where you are with text search, that intent piece that we've been talking about comes in. So rather than Alexa get me gin, which is press button, get stuff, spin a machine, you're going to go, I've had a bad day, and Alexa orders you a bottle of wine on the 1-hour delivery service. That's the tick for the general public to get. I think it's always been a rough day at work, I hate my boss. Gin on order with you in 1 hour. That's when the general public will see the utility. Beyond that, it is just
Alexa's,
It's the end of husbands.
Hey, I'm all the drinks with you.
So can I guide this? I mean, it's Alexa, but what about Google? Right?
Well, Google Home.
Peter,
Google's got a billion devices now. can use Google, for their NAS that.
Yeah. Billion.
I think one thing that has happened is Amazon has always had in their mission statement to basically satisfy the user end to end, all the way down, and that's why there are skills. You can always ask, and if Alexa doesn't know the skill, it will tell you, can you teach me and connect me or whatever. Google basically always said, we'll have an answer to any question, in my opinion. And they've now moved into Actions on Google, which is basically, in my opinion, trying to play catch up with the way Alexa was developed.
I was going to ask you about Actions on Google.
Skills and actions are about connecting up your databases, your data. So take a use case from Vodafone. I want an assistant to say, okay, it's time for you to upgrade your phone. So I can see in your diary that you're in Paddington tomorrow. There's a shop that's 600 metres away from you at lunchtime. There's 7 new iPhones there, and we put one aside for you.
Let's be honest. I think we all know that voice search is complete bollocks that agencies roll out in order to sell more stuff to get clients money better. I'm sorry, it is. The moment you start going into anything remotely futurist when it comes to search is complete nonsense, right? It's literally just because SEO is about content, links and tech, and it always has been, and we're just trying to reinvent how we talk about it as links, content, marketing, and it's all the same bollocks. Now voice, in terms of Amazon's skills, if you're an FMCG brand, you should absolutely be doubling down on that. If you're a low consideration purchase, you should completely own that. But search is really complicated. Here's a question. Have you ever actually just had a conversation with someone, asking them questions, trying to get a response? This is a human to get to an end goal. It's actually quite difficult, right? So asking some sort of AI machine to get you to the right answer, it depends.
This is conversational. This is a conversational relationship that needs to happen. It's only just beginning to happen. So.
Or I could just type it in my phone that gives me exactly what I want. I click it and I can see the results instead of asking, show me the next one or tell me the next thing. It just doesn't hit the mark.
But then you're not thinking about proactive relationship, where I know that your phone needs to be upgraded. So I'm saying to you, I'd really like to get a new phone.
That's a different thing, though.
That's proactive.
But that's not voice search. That's
discovery.
Still 100% marketing. And I think
discovery, and that's where SEOs need to
2 years ago, I was saying you had to own your skills in Alexa. So you had to be thinking about. 2 years ago, I was saying you needed to be there. And for those of you who were in that talk and you weren't there, because people come back to me, they're like, you remember I was at your talk 2 years ago and you said, sign up to Google Search Console. I haven't done it yet, but I promise I'll do it after this time. Yeah, fuck you. But seriously, you need to be thinking it. Yeah, so we're talking about the future here, and definitely voice search in pharma, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be on the train and say, weird rash in groin area. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be non-voice search. There's going to be voice search. There's going to be a coming together of things. But one of the things that we're often thinking about is entities and creating entities that Google understands, and that will both benefit voice search and normal position zero search. And I think in looking forward as we go forward, we have to be thinking about technical SEO. Technical SEO is where we're marking up things, and marking up things correctly so that stupid computers understand things. Because AI, you may think AI is the solution to everything. It's only machine learning. Some of it's only deep learning, and it's only as smart as the data we feed it, and that's where we're failing.
Can I bring Hannah in on the voice search stuff?
Success. I just have a thing with voice search that I don't understand why we're not feeding the right data in. So I don't know how many of you used. How many of you used? There used to be a thing in the UK called Go Butler. Has anyone heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could text it, and you could be like, I want to take my client out for lunch. Where's a table near me? The restaurant has to be quiet. They don't want it to be like this, blah, blah, blah. And there was clearly a team of individuals, because it wasn't done by machines, that would provide the answer and feed it back to you. And you could also say things like, order me a pizza, and your pizza would turn up. Now, it was bought by Braintree, And so Braintree is part of PayPal. So the point was you paid for everything through PayPal, and it was to get people using PayPal in daily transactions. Now, why aren't we taking a service such as Go Butler, rolling that out and having that live chat interaction with humans, feeding that into voice search and creating an actual better assistant and a better entire system? Instead, we're reliant on voice search fueling voice search, which just results in us feeding a machine someone going, no Siri, that's not what I said. Like, that's not the way you build a tool, and I think until the people building voice search understand we need to give it proper data, we need to start from the beginning again, it's not actually ever going to be that good.
Yeah, Julia, did you want to have something to say about voice search?
No, but I think you did, Chris.
No. A simple thing is just a thought. Might Google be trying to get more searches?
Yeah.
Because if they get more searches, well, no, but I'm just saying, like, with voice, you get more searches, and as such.
Because it's search.
Hang on, what's your opinion?
Who, me?
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you have the microphone now.
Sorry.
My answer, definitively, is...
Say your name, sorry.
Oh, yeah, my name's Luke.
Hey, Luke.
Hi. So my answer definitively is like, hell yeah, like search volume, why not? Like, more search volume is not a bad thing, less search volume is a bad thing. So, in a way, yes, it's another channel to an existing product, which is search, right? But actually, a point that Hannah made about, you can clearly see I was listening to everything you just said. So, when you mentioned about the tech search and the Go Butler stuff, that's kind of where I think, or at least where in my head as a marketing kind of channel, Google Assistant works, because I use that a heck of a lot. Like, I text Google Assistant like it's a real person. I don't often, I've got a Google Home, but I don't necessarily talk to it, but I do speak to Google Home via text messages by texting her or him or it and say like what's in my diary, or what's the weather like, or whatever, because I don't want to be that weird guy on the train like shouting at his phone with headphones in, so everyone's like, this guy's right? But actually, you know what, I guess one thing I wanted to drop into this conversation right now, we've spoken about, in my opinion, right, and I'll be blunt about this, the same shit that I hear every single time, which is what we've already said, content links, all this kind of stuff. But no one has really spoken about external factors yet, right? 2019, think about it. January, we're like, what, 2 weeks in now? We haven't spoken about the rise of DuckDuckGo. We haven't spoken about like Facebook Gate and that kind of going down the shitter. We haven't spoken about the demise of Google Plus and what replaces that, if anything. We haven't spoken about like GDPR and how that could impact things. We haven't spoken about opportunities away from Google. This is all Google. Great. No one said Bing yet. I'm the first person tonight to say the word Bing. So.
Oh wait, it was in my original quiz.
So I'm thinking like incremental gains, right? Like, yes, Google's a big thing right now, but surely like 10 things at 1% is better than trying to chase 10% on one thing. So, I don't know, maybe there's some topics there we could tap into this year even.
I'm just going to say this about Bing. I think Bing is doing something really interesting, especially in the B2B space, because they're merging search data with proper demographic data, which is LinkedIn, and they'll give me possibilities to target and retarget those people based on searches, there's a huge possibility there, and I've been using Bing for the past few years, especially in paid, on my B2B clients, because it makes huge sense. But in all fairness, it's still tiny. Not in that segment, but it's still tiny. I honestly think that Bing is ahead of Google in loads of artificial intelligence and machine learning and image recognition things. If you see what they do with the halos, and they actually build really cool stuff, and I think they might at some point catch up. But
it's what, going back to your point on Bing, I hear you. And I've worked fundamentally in B2B for probably about 3 or 4 years now, and I've not long left Caterpillar. But the funny thing I will say to you is that in the world of B2B, as we already see, and this is not a surprise to anyone, technology in B2B is often like a good 2 or 3 years behind everybody else, right? Like many of Caterpillar's customers were just like old geezers who pick up the phones and never use the internet. So when they do fire up their laptop, it's like Windows XP and it's like Internet Explorer like 8 or 9, right? So where I am at the moment, the company I'm at right now, there's a 15% market share for us, or at least the search share, from Bing, which is mental, right? Because I guess across the board it's something like single figures, but for us in the B2B space, it's still massive. So yes, Google is like the primary for us, but we still have a massive opportunity by optimizing for Bing. DuckDuckGo, I don't know, it could be a cool niche thing for millennials or whatever, but it's something to pay attention to for sure.
Jerry, did you have something you wanted to?
You know what I really love is Facebook Memories.
I forgot all about those.
Facebook Memories is one of those great things, and today I've got this message kind of going, do you remember when you posted this? And basically I said, Windows Mobile, it's not that bad, it's actually quite good.
Who are you?
You get my point.
Yeah.
Basically, Bing isn't that bad. Bing is pretty good. It's just, how can you convince your mum, your grandma, your... forget about
Well, for
grandma.
them it's default.
Yeah, your grandma's already using Bing. But basically, she's the only person using Bing. The problem isn't whether it's good or bad, it's convincing people to switch.
Yeah, can I throw open to the audience now? Who's got some burning questions about SEO 2019?
They have to catch the cube as well. So.
With my left
You've got to
hand.
catch the cube, yeah. So, Nick, did you have something else?
I've got one question.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's coming into 2019. I mean, if you look at the high street at the moment, it's looking pretty dire. I mean, people are saying that, quite rightly, we're going to have a recession this year. People are estimating it's going to kick off from March, and most having been through 2 recessions, it's usually about 9 months after everything hits the fan. But looking at what's happened before Christmas, this could be about 6-7 months away. So, from the panel, what should we do as SEOs and SEO teams to get ready and prepare for a recession? Because we're going to get asked some very tough questions from senior management to do a lot more with less.
Start, Jerry.
So the biggest problem I've seen is that Google is actually dying to a certain extent, which I know sounds like crazy because of what I just said. How many people in the audience here, when they start to buy something, who's on Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we're all on Amazon Prime. I hate Amazon Prime, but I still subscribe up. Mainly because I still get student discount. But
Stop it. I'm impressed.
yeah, this might be a slight. Anyway, the point being that so many people now, before they start to search on Google, before they start to search anywhere else, they start on Amazon, and then they might degrade down to eBay.
The thing is, something that Amazon does that is very different to what eBay does is Amazon wants to be the end-to-end for everything. They want to be your entertainment service. They want to be your shopping service. They want to be your informational service. eBay isn't driving in that way. eBay just wants to be where you spend your money on shopping. We don't want to deliver necessarily fresh food to your door, at least not that I'm aware of at this point. We're not trying to be your informational stop. But that is a core differentiator. Everyone always compares eBay and Amazon because they're huge e-commerce. But Amazon's view, Amazon's outlook is very, very different. And it's something that is, there's no point bullshitting about it, quite frankly.
Yeah, so I get a bit of a bleak out as a classic dour Scotsman sitting in the corner. With regards to what's going to happen in the kind of impending recession, I would personally liquidate all your assets, hold cash. So I would hold cash, and what I would do is if you run a company, whether it be a small business or a brand, I would start axing all of your creative endeavours that are nice to have. So if you've got someone who calls himself a creative director or a futurist, sack him and all of his team. But in all seriousness, so what we're doing as an agency, we're literally just doubling down on everything that's like remotely free and looking at the people who just control all the traffic outside of Google, and we're feeding them and giving them what they want for the short term. So right now, LinkedIn's video product is very young, so we're putting a lot of time and effort into that. And we're just literally, like I said before, flooding the internet with content. But in terms of brand point of view, you'd be amazed how many young, talented people want to come and work for not a lot of money to come and make like content for you, because they're hard jobs to get, and especially when it's a recession, they're even harder jobs to get because that stuff just gets completely killed out. So I would build a creative team around organic content production.
So
It's paid really well, don't worry about it.
what should we do? How can we get future-proofed?
I think if I were you, I'd invest now whilst we all have money into attribution. So if you can measure the value of your SEO that isn't your last click conversion, and you can actually prove that you're impacting footfall in a store and things like that, and we can actually really prove our worth in a meaningful way, then you'll be safe through the recession. If you are creating content because you heard content's king and you can't really measure anything, then you're probably going to be out of a job in a bit. So don't do that.
Hey, do you want to come on stage and swap with you for a second? No, it's fine. Tag it. Sorry, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
So, you bring me
So do a tag team.
Juliet, go on.
Nick
If you
is
don't
Judith.
tag, you can't do it.
You have to tag.
So I have to definitely second what you're saying just now. If you can absolutely define and measure, not just go, oh, SEO is great, SEO is good for us. If you can actually show your client, your company, everybody, that what it is you can define it and you can measure it and you can demonstrate it. That is the key problem that SEO has faced for so long. Oh, it's lovely, we need SEO, we kind of know we need SEO. Why do you need SEO? How do you show the value to your business, to your clients? That is the biggest thing. We've always been so fluffy, and that's why PPC was up there going, who makes the most money? Because they can measure it, and they can demonstrate X number of ROI. We are really, really like evidence of ROI. This is how much money we made for the company. In a recession, non-essential services as a marketing stream are going to get cut back, if not completely eliminated, because people can't afford it anymore. And SEO, in fairness, is not cheap. Good SEO is not cheap.
Why don't you
The
just
best person to kind of talk about this is Nick.
Nick, do you want to answer your own question?
I can see this. No, I can see this hitting the fan at the moment. You can see it on the news. It's hitting.
Which one?
The recession. It's definitely coming. It's big. No, I'd say, yeah. I mean, everyone's said some really good points. Hannah's completely right. Be close to the money. And like I've been through 2 recessions already. The closer you can be to the money, the closer you can prove what you're doing has value, you'll be safe. So absolutely do that kind of fluffy stuff. If you're, get a lot of trouble for this, maybe. If your tool set, if you're using a very expensive tool set and all you're doing is checking ranks, dump it. Go and get a far better, cheaper option. SEO Monitor sponsored this. I think they're fantastic. I'm not going to. You know who I mean. So if you're not using your tool set to do more than check ranks, and then really reconsider it. You've got to do more with less right now. And I'd say the final thing is you've got to, if you can do things to check that things don't go wrong at the moment, things like Little Warden, roll your own kind of tests so you can check it. Because if you make a mistake when things are going well, then it's not so bad. If you make a mistake when you're in a recession, it's really bad. So checks are really important right now.
So this is where we're going. But can I get some more? Has anyone else got any burning questions?
I got one more because we hit attribution. Well, what I see with loads of companies is that they're not measuring correctly.
Oh yeah.
So if you start attributing the right traffic to the right source, it will make your jobs a lot easier, like literally a lot. Because Google Analytics, if you're using it, out of the box, it's fucked for SEO.
So simple.
Oh, I just wholeheartedly agree with that. Like,
same thing.
You sort of bear, man. Damn.
What do we do, Luke?
Yeah, I just. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you who I work for now, because I'm about to go in on this. But yeah, the situation, I hear that, and it resonates with me big time. It's just the business. Put it this way, I went for an interview there and talked about Google Analytics, and my boss said, "What's that?" So to give you an idea, that's how immeasurable digital was. So to prove a point, and maybe to kind of it's a bit ballsy for sure, but simply by adding the disallow line that no one likes into a robots.txt file, waiting 48 hours and saying, why is the revenue tanked? Well, actually, you know when you said SEO wasn't important, well, guess what happened? I'll tell you that. So, oh yes,
That's smart.
but sometimes people have to learn the hard way, right? Which is you only realise what they've lost when it's done.
I think we've got two analytics experts in the audience. Grant behind you.
So we're doing one now, or
No, throw it to Tom for a second.
Where's Tom?
Throw it to Tom.
Here he is, Mr. Kelpo, right?
Tom,
Hey,
what do you think about using analytics out of the box?
I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it's going to be better than nothing. Like, I've worked with, it's interesting, like, the short-term, long-term stuff that's come along a lot in these conversations and probably just reveals that people work with different clients and businesses. But probably a lot of us have worked with businesses where getting them to look at data from their website is a good start. If you're on the other hand, if you're working for a massive like household name like Vodafone or Just Eat, yeah, maybe it should be a little bit more sophisticated than that, and maybe Google Analytics is just going to be a few convenient lies. Brandon, do you want the box?
I'll take the box.
Does this thing work? Oh, it does. Wow. What's really cool? Take this home with me. No.
Yes.
No, I think it's actually the interesting thing about
Into the bucket.
this is the bit.
No, that's fine.
The interesting thing about analytics is that there is so much of it, and whatever you can do to give people access to it, so that it's not just a couple of analytics people on a data team sitting in a corner of a room looking at it, is probably going to be a very good investment. I mean, where I work for a little company called Photobox, and we try and teach as many people as we can in the team, and we'll do whatever we need to make sure that the teams are available and able to use GA. I mean, like Lewis, who's over here, he picked up something. He's like, Grant, why is this not working? It probably wasn't working because it wasn't set up properly. And because it was him looking at it, I was able to pick up some of that stuff. With such massive websites, it's not the fact that analytics isn't good. It's good if it's set up properly, but most websites have been set up ages ago by multiple people who don't even exist there anymore. So the more people that you look at, the more people who can look at the data, the better the data will be.
And often it was set up correctly originally a couple of years ago. The site's gone through a couple of iterations. Every time they change the code, they forget to update. And I mean, it's basic stuff like your conversion tracking. Oh look, we've had no conversions. I wonder why. Could it possibly be because you just overwrote the entire website with a brand new flashy design and forgot to include analytics? Analytics becomes a background noise. I mean, it's not even about being set up 100% correctly. It's just got to be set up at all to give you some kind of meaningful data. Otherwise, it literally deludes you into believing that everything is either completely great or completely awful. Because it's a simple matter of, and again, coming back to technical elements that have to be done correctly. And that's the key thing, is you can only rely on the data if the tool that you're using to measure is set up correctly. Otherwise, you're just relying on falsehoods.
If I can give you guys one tip to take away, and something you guys can do tomorrow, is just get someone to go into your website and track all the error messages that your users are getting. That's the only thing you guys need to do.
So can I just make one comment on this? We did this at Just Eat. Really pissed off another team because they were tracking it separately, and the GTM, when we kind of went track all this, it kind of like, yeah, so just make sure that it's not already being tracked in another system. It wasn't me that screwed it up, but yes, it was.
That's amazing because everyone assumes it's being tracked. But I guarantee you, if I go to every single one of your websites, there's errors that users are seeing, which if you actually saw what the errors were, you'd be like, what is going on? Why aren't we tracking this? And it's just like, and it'll be in checkout. You know, checkout will not work for certain cases, and everyone will be like, oh, why is that not being tracked? And it's like, no, it's not being tracked. Really simple stuff. Just set it up and make sure as many people see it.
Did you have something else to add, Hannah?
Yeah, I was going to say as well, just the one thing we find with analytics is maybe monitor who has publish rights. So we've got one client that happens to have a global office and lots of other companies to it, and they managed to publish a tag that says if there's 1 page view, add 5. So we were like, why is our conversion rate not working? It's nothing we've done, it's nothing the client's done. And then they find out it's their head office were testing something and accidentally published it on their site. And I think it's about a control thing of actually just limit everything. Fix the data once and then don't let anyone touch it apart from the central data person, whether that's in-house or you as an agency, and then lock that down. Like, the best thing you can do is be a complete control freak over it and know that even if you're not tracking everything, you're tracking 3 things perfectly.
At least you know what's happening. That's really important. I mean, SEOs have to know what's happening on the analytics side. So, I mean, how many of you are running Adobe here for your analytics? Yeah. How many of you check the marketing channels and the order of the rules? No. I mean, so it's a bucketing system. So it comes in depending on which order.
Same
the rules
goes
are
for GA.
Same for GA.
Yeah, it's kind of by default. I mean, Adobe's completely.
The default is graphic.
I love that cuddling cats is the next trend in 2019. If you miss it, it's scrolled up. Cats still, but cuddling cats is the latest trend for 2019. And analytics.
No.
So, do you not want to share why cuddling cats is going to be the next
Oh no,
trend?
I wasn't the cuddling cats. I just said that cats will still rule. Grant was cuddling cats.
Sorry, that was me.
Cats will always
you.
you.
Yeah.
You're the cat man, huh?
Contribute them really much.
Can we measure how cuddling cats affects your website success?
Is Neil still here? I can't see him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hidden in the corner.
He actually left when I left.
So you said
not
AEO
saying
over SEO.
Well, it's one of the
Fucking bollocks. I'm sorry, but it's just like, it's, no, SEO,
I was
AEO
just
is like a subset.
paraphrasing the panel's
Oh, did somebody else say
wordy
that?
thing.
Absolutely not. So I firmly believe there's a thing called discovery engine optimization. Aidan just burst out laughing. Excellent. So, okay, everything we do with search indicates that someone has to physically type a keyword and hit enter, right? But actually, how often does that happen on Google? Because then you've got all of the related searches. If someone clicks on a people also ask, that's not a search, that's a click. Right? And then if people are if Google's pushing information through Discovery or Google Feed, whatever they want to call it, they're pushing it to you, you're not pulling it. So if we're reducing the amount of pull and the amount of search that happens, we can't really call ourselves SEOs. And then if you tie that into Alexa, there's a lot less search because it's discovery, because you're asking a question, and then Alexa goes and does a few searches and comes back with an answer. So if it's discovery, it's DEO, not AEO or SEO.
Yeah, we're always renaming.
Every acronym under the sun.
So we're,
I mean, we've always been about discovery. We've always been about discovery, though. That's what we've always done. You know, we've taken a process that's been fundamentally broken or not working, and we've made sure our clients can be found. That's what we do.
And I personally hold everyone else that's been in the industry for longer than me responsible for the fact you picked the name SEO. Like, it's a shit name for what we do. It's not what we do.
Danny wanted SEO.
I would call it discovery engine or just marketing.
Yeah, but then no. That wasn't how it started.
Step back from the edge.
It was.
Okay, I feel that way.
Marketing
Wait, I want to know if Ruth is still feeling a bit lost.
Ruth, are you okay, Beds? She works with me. So
Where is she? Does she need gin?
She needs discovery engine
Where's
optimization.
Ruth, and does she need gin?
We all
There's
need
Ruth,
gin, damn it.
And she needs gin.
hey, Ruth.
Ruth works in social and
Ah.
does paid social and influencers.
Awesome, love social.
What's your...
Can I just say sorry to Sarah because she's told me she'll never forgive me?
We love you, Sarah, and all the black hats love you too. Honest.
We're coming up to 8 o'clock, and I guess we could keep talking all night. The conversation is on fire. So much opinions here, but
2 floors up. Is that where the secret pizza is?
there's some secret pizza coming upstairs and 2 floors up. But what I just thought, if we can quickly look around, maybe 1 minute each for the final takeaway from our panel, the expert panel. I want to get the inside scoop. Tell me what I need to do. What's that 1 minute takeaway?
Right now, you just need to do more of what's currently working for you. So every agency that comes in to pitch you, every expert on this panel, every blog post you read, you need to absolutely ignore. And you need to look at what's happening in your own business and make decisions based on that. If you're looking for SEO-based advice, I'm a big link builder, but the way we do that is literally just by building things that play into the bad behaviour of the current media. So they monetize by CPM advertising, therefore they need to publish and publish and publish and publish. And because of that, it's more clickbait and more nonsense. So literally the level of data you need to put into a blog post in order to get covered in a national magazine or national newspaper is literally nothing. So just start adding that to your blog posts when you're doing your pitches and start doing that sort of thing and try and maximise the very small and don't overthink outreach, especially when it comes to big name publications. Just a sentence in your press release. Fine.
I love that you keep looking at me as if you're like, is it okay? Are you going to kill me? I'm in
Thanks,
your
Ross.
stage.
I know, what are we going to do?
Well, for me, I'm going to work on actions on Google, for one. Secondly, I'm really interested in where it's heading with entity search, Wikidata, Wikipedia, all other databases that establish you as a brand. Think loads of SEOs are just forgetting about this. I do agree with everything Ross said.
Thank you. There's one person in the room.
So,
Two.
Yeah.
What he said.
And so it's these things I'm gonna. The other thing is, don't look at the fancy stuff. Fix your fucking site. Like, really do it. Whether it's analytics, whether it's conversion, speed, like, just fix the basics. It will gain you more than other stuff.
Okay, Nicholas, what do I need to do?
Well, firstly, I mean, you need to know where you are in the SEO world. And people don't do that. They kind of, it's almost like you've got one kind of SEO for all of us. It's rubbish. You know, I do completely different SEO from a small website. I don't need to. We get thousands of links every week, so I don't need to do link building. I just don't need to do it. So work out where you are in that mix. If you're a big corporate, then it's not about link building. It's about getting your structure right, getting your order right, dealing with these technical issues, getting your site in a really good place so that you can get those results of Google. In terms of what we're doing for this year, it's a lot less practice, but it is voice, and I love voice. And the reason I do is because it's really so low effort. And people think it's really complicated. It's really not. It's a few pizzas and get your dev team into it. But it's a really good one to kind of showcase the SEO team. So you can showcase, I have to do something shiny in one hand, and then I need to get what actually needs to happen done in the other hand. So it's a good project you can run to really impress the business and to work upwards. I would be very careful about the recession that's going to come. I'm pretty sure it is going to come this year. So I would be future-proofing what you can, and that means making sure you're not getting mistakes, making sure you're doing everything you can to keep your job and to keep the team members that you have, and that means keeping very, very close to the money. And that also means kind of thinking very much about data-driven SEO. There's a whole range now of services that are coming out to allow you to do kind of conversion rate optimization type testing with SEO. And there's 3 or 4 products that are out. Distill's one of them, several. And this is a lot of these coming onto the market, and it's a very clever way of you proving the value of the SEO team, because you're running pro-like tests with SEO. It's a very good methodology to use for SEO, and you can prove the overall value of having that value. So I think kind of find these kind of really clever data-driven ways of running your SEO department, and you'll be safe for this year.
Juliet, what's the takeaway for everyone here tonight for 2019?
Firstly, these three guys have all said a lot of the stuff that I was planning to say, so I'm having to think of something
else.
Yeah. But you still know my points. But firstly, it's about measurement, and it's about demonstrating value, and not just to yourself, but to your company and to your clients. Whoever you work with, you've got to essentially make sure that they understand the value. And the second part of it is understand that SEO does not work in isolation. There are so many marketing channels, there's so many other ways to work. You've got to work with everyone. So, I mean, talking about link building, if you've got a PR department and you are not meeting with them twice a week to work out what they're doing on their PR schedule and their editorial schedule to see how you can reach value out of that, you are losing out. Get the best value you can out of every other marketing channel that is working around you. From a Google and or other search engine perspective, work out context. Work out not just what you want to say, but all the context that sits around that. So help Google understand what you want to portray to your audience. If Google doesn't understand what you want to portray to your audience, Google's not going to demonstrate that to your prospective audience. You're going to lose clients, people who can more accurately depict what it is you're trying to sell, convey, whatever it is you're trying to do. So at the end of the day, it used to be that you could get away with some really basic tactics and a lot of really fluffy reporting. Those days are far gone, and the recession's going to make that even harder. You've got to make sure that you report like an accountant would report, like a PPC guy would report. You've got to be factual. You can't just be fluffy anymore.
So Hannah, what's your takeaway, your final takeaway for us for 2019?
So I'm going to work on the basis you did their takeaways first. So if you're measuring correctly, then don't set yourself goals that you can't measure and you can't directly impact. So if you're an SEO and your goal is to rank 10% of your keywords on the first page, you're wrong. Like, that won't work because as we've discussed, like, we don't know what any ranking factor or whatever you want to call it is. So we don't know all the other contributing factors to that. So I can't say that I'm going to make 4 tweaks on your website and make you rank well. Like, I can't guarantee that. So set yourself goals that you can guarantee and you know you are able to control. And that might be, I can control that you will own 83% of the first page of your search results for a term that involves your product. Cool. That's maybe not measurable through GA and maybe not through your site, but if you find the way to measure it, you're doing better than setting yourself a stupid goal about ranking first and generating 50% increases in traffic that you're not going to hit.
So Jerry, what's the secret for 2019?
So I'm going to completely disagree with Ross on the basis that he contradicts me, and I'm going to pass on to Judith, who isn't going to contradict me, please.
Yes,
Yeah, she will. But basically, it isn't what you're going to do in 2018, but it's basically looking at the search results pages. Look at what the research results pages are at the moment, and how you can contribute or add to them, rather than necessarily look at what was right in 2017, 2016. I mean, I've always been preaching about intent, but actually what I've kind of realised is that Google is going to interpret intent in a certain way. And you have to kind of listen to what Google's saying about a particular page. You're never going to compete on a page which is like, what's the one that has 0 results? Is like, what time is it in California?
Because there's one answer. Unless you're Bing, where they... Sorry. This is really fucking cool. So Bing have started to weigh up results. So on questions where there's an answer box and there's a pro and a con, so it's like, should I use crystals? There's a yes and a no answer. Bing has started to integrate that. So the answer box gives you a pro and a con, which is a step beyond Google giving you no results, is Bing giving you both sides of the argument and then saying, pick which side you want to see, and then hopefully they'll feed that in, and then if their data works in the right way, it will then display a right answer eventually, but they're doing it in a much more like communist way than Google. That was the only way to
So
describe it.
my answer is basically is like we want to compete on a keyword like Nazigareng. I'll give it to you after Juliet, unless Juliet wants it. And anyway, the point, Juliet. Anyway, the point being, whiskey is 50%.
What's the whiskey? Yeah.
Right. So anyway, my point. This is video. Anyway, the point being that
Where's my gin?
we will not compete on Nazigareng. We will not compete on Nazigareng unless we offer recipes. And really distracting you. But basically, we will not compete on Nazigareng unless we also offer recipes, because that's all of the first page.
Unless you're a restaurant who offers Nazigareng. So
Yeah, but no, we still want to compete on it. We have, because the entire first page, and no matter what you do, you will never compete on that result term, because that's what Google interprets. Anyway, I'm going to pass over to Julie.
No.
Julia.
That one.
Let's.
What I was trying to say is it
What?
just means your menus are not indexed correctly.
Okay.
It's like slightly singed Jerry. So predictions for 2019. So yes, there will be a recession. Obviously, it's been coming for a while. What should you do as search professionals? Let's not exclude content marketers and PPC professionals and other professionals who might build links, who might do technical SEO, etc. So for all digital marketers, be smart. The user is the most important person. Content is not king. The person who is paying your fucking salary, which is the person who's buying shit off your website, is king. So if you're not keeping the user as the focus of your work, then you're ruining your own site. No matter how many links I
Chris is
build.
saying that the pizza's arrived.
Yeah, the
Woo,
delivery.
pizza. So if the user is the pizza eater is not the focus of your attention, then the pizza eater will lose out.
Look, thank you so much for that. And I'll just wanted to, the pizza's here, but don't everyone rush out just yet, because I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody here. Thanks everybody for turning up, and so many people that I know already and others that I've met, and that we're all going to have a bit of a social time after this. But particularly thanks for Just Eat, thanks for SEO Monitor, thanks to Ross, Anu, Nick, Juliet, Hannah, Jerry and Judith and everyone else who contributed. And yeah, I've had a great time. I hope everyone else has. And let's keep continuing to be social after this.
And thank you for visiting from Australia.
If you have two floors up, there's kind of a better space for eating pizza.
And there's more slides. One of them says, if you have a success story that you'd like to post about,
It's like
email me.
you're doing your thing.
One second.
Oh, wait. It's like